Hey guys, today we're going to solve the problem 1480, running sum of 1D array. It's basically an exercise regarding the arrays on Leetcode. It's an easy one and it is really easy. So we're going to implement some testing in the end. And what do we have? So we have an array nums, and we define running sum of an array as running sum I equal to the sum of num0 till nums I. And obviously at the end we have to return the sum of nums. Okay, so if we have a look at the first example, just to understand how it works, we have an array of 4 elements, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the output is 1, 3, 6, 10. Why it's 1, 3, 6, 10 is because for 3 we add the current element 2 plus the previous one. For 6 we add the current one, which is 3, plus all the previous elements. So 3 plus 2 plus 1, which is 6, and the last one is 10, is the sum of all the elements. So how are we gonna solve this, right? Let's have a look. Basically, the idea is here is to loop through the array, and we can, well, the easiest thing to do, and I think this is the best to do memory-wise perspective, is just to do it in place. So we swap the elements of the nums without having to create another array where we basically paste the sum, I would say, result for each element in a new array. So obviously we don't have we don't have in memory a full list, just a temporary value that we'll use to assign the values to the nums array that is already defined. Okay, let's start. Let's start by creating a variable that we'll call presum. I don't know, whatever it's called. It's an integer, and basically we use this to serve as a temporary holder for the sum of I, so for the running sum I in the description of the problem. And now we loop through the array, and basically we loop. So this is basic stuff. We're looping through each element starting from I equals 0. And what do we say? So the presum value, if we want to do it in place, let's think about it. So the presum value will be the calculated value of the sum for the element I. Okay, in the case of 1, I equals 0, what's going to be the presum? It's going to be presum will be equal to presum plus nums I. Okay, so in this case presum is 0 because, well, we have initiated the variable, so it will take the default value of 0, and we add the nums I, which in this case 1. So presum is going to be 1, and then we can replace nums I, which will be equal to presum. Okay, so now if we do that, let's go to the next element, the I equal 1. What would happen? So we'll have basically the value of 2. So presum will be equal to presum, and presum in this case is the previous iteration, which is 1, and we add to it nums I, which in this case would be 2. So 1 plus 2 equals 3. So we have in this temporary memory holder presum equals 3, and we can just now assign the value in place to nums I, which would be in this case, instead of 2, we'll replace it with 3. And if you go there till the end, we'll have exactly what we are asked for. And what do we return? Obviously, as we did it in place, we don't need to return anything different than the nums array, and we can just run the code. Normally it should work, and we submit it, and there we go, it's working fine. So now if we want to implement some tests, we can do very simple stuff, which is basically to test for the results. I mean, what we got, what we want. This is initial one. Maybe for more advanced tests, I will do those in the later videos, or because we need to probably introduce some errors in the function. What kind of error we throw, especially that, if I recall correctly, the description we have a couple of constraints where the num length, basically the length of the array, should be between 1 and 1000, and the value for each element between -1 million and plus 1 million. So we can create a test for those specific constraints. If say we have a number that is minus 10 million, we should throw an error. Same if the array is bigger than 1000 elements, and test all those cases. Okay, so let's have a quick test for. Okay, so for the testing, what we're going to do right now is we're going to import the testing package, and we're going to create a function called test running sum, and this one we're going to use testing package, and let's initiate a variable called nums, which will be the array that we will use for the testing. Well, we'll just have one test in this case. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so what do we get? We get basically running sum. This is what we get with an input of nums, right? And what do we want? We said we want a slice of integer, which is basically which has those values 1, 3, 6, and 10. Okay, so now what we need to do, because Go won't let you compare slices, I mean not with equality operators, we need to use the deep reflect, the deep equal from the reflect package. So we need to write it this way: if reflect dot deep equal, and then we put the two slices, get one. It means that those two are not equal. So if we go to the definition, yeah, I haven't saved. Okay, let's import the reflect package. Reflect, probably better now. Yeah, there we go. So this is basically the code for the deep equal. I mean, if you want to read it, please go ahead. So what do we have? If those two are not equal, we throw an error. We get basically the slice, and we want this slice. Get want, and we call the brackets, and let's build it. Compile test success, which is pretty good. And now let's try to make a change just to see that if we do that, the testing runs fine. Let's start at 1, for example. Let's run the tests. Well, we have 1259, so if we run the test, let's do a go test -v. What do we have? Perfect, we get 1259, and we want 13610, which is good. Let's modify it back.